Tennessee on Tuesday confirmed that Josh Heupel will receive a contract extension through January 2030. That is an extension of 1 year, as it was going through January of 2029 last year. However, there is no raise to go with that contract, despite the fact that he took Tennessee to the college football playoff last year and led them to a 10-win season, only their second 10-win season since 2008, and only their second season with 3 losses or fewer since 2005. You would think that he could have gotten a raise for what he did, but he didn't. Now, with that in mind, why did he get a contract extension just 1 year? What is the significance of this? And is it par for the course? A sign of Tennessee's trust in him? Or is it genuinely alarming since there's no raise? I'm going to go ahead and say this to you guys. This is today's tough question. It's brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Why settle? Play to win. Led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Why was there no raise tied to Josh Heupel's contract extension? And I'm going to give you my take. I think they just gave him the contract extension because it's par for the course. What does it mean to be par for the course? Let me be clear on this. Par for the course is you want your coach on a 5-year deal while he's recruiting. You want to keep him on a 5-year deal. If it's 4 years or less this day and age in college football, you are in trouble. That's going to signal to recruits that the school doesn't have faith in you. And that's the last thing you want when you are on a contract. So this was all about keeping Josh Heupel able to recruit. And as long as he's at Tennessee, he's going to be on a 5-year deal unless something else changes. The minute that deal gets down to 4 years, raise the red flag. That means he's getting fired soon. Okay. That's just how contracts work in college football now. You want your head coach on a 5-year deal. Most players can be now 5-year players pretty much with all the new rules of extensions and red shirts and things like that and how they work with the transfer portal. But in general, 5-year deals are what you want your head coach on. I believe Josh Heupel is on a 5-year deal and is on a permanent 5-year deal. Now, I want to address a couple of questions real quick, but Josh Heupel's buyout from Dynasty, from Tennessee, there is a bit of an update to the buyout, which is true. However, there's still no raise, and what this contract extension does show is that Tennessee still has faith in him, but they don't think he did enough to warrant a raise, which suggests that Danny White has some pretty high expectations, honestly, given what's going on right now. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about when you consider the fact that Danny White's expectations are to do much better than just make the college football playoff. Now, also with his buyout increase, the biggest reason the buyout is up is because he's got another year on his contract. So it's kind of a key thing for Josh Heupel on that. Now, when it comes to all of this, Heupel's biggest raise came from $5 million to $9 million in January 2023, which was right after the magical 11-2 season. That was a big deal during that time. But since then, Heupel has gone 9-4 and 10-3. So, not getting him a raise, I think personally, is just a sign of what they expect from the football program. But giving him the extension is to make sure they are safe with him long term. Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com.
The poll question up. Josh Heupel's contract extension is a sign of the Vols' trust in him. Par for the course, alarming since there's no raise. 68% say a sign of the Vols' trust in him. 28% say par for the course. 4% say alarming since there's no raise. Now, I want to address the buyout point, which is one of the underrated parts of this. The buyout point that I have to bring up is this. It's an extended buyout, but it's the same precipitous buyout that they've had with him, which is to say that his buyout drops each year of the contract. All they did was push it back a year by giving him that extension. So, and that's from Josh Heupel's side and Tennessee's side, basically. So Tennessee would owe Heupel the full remainder of his salary if they fired him before December 15th, 2025. The same would have been true if they fired him before December 15th, 2024 last year. So theoretically, without that extra year, they wouldn't have owed him that since December 15th of last year. Had they fired him now, they would have owed him 75% of the remaining salary. So all the buyout does is just extend the time frame, but you have to do that anyway because you have to keep your coaches on a 5-year deal. So the buyout drops to 75% of the remaining salary between December 15th, 2025 and December 15th, 2027. Then 50% of the remaining salary after December 15th, 2027. The buyout would be paid in monthly installments through the end of the deal in January 2030. And there was offset language for the buyout should Heupel take another job before the end of the contract date. Heupel's structure for terminating the deal is similar. He would owe $8 million before December 15th, 2025. The buyout drops to $6 million in 2026, $4 million in 2027, $3 million in 2028, $2 million in 2029. And on December 15th date is when the figures changes, but it would never get below $2 million on what he owes. So with that in mind, I'm going to be honest, I say it's alarming. I actually say that it's a bit alarming that Josh Heupel didn't get a pay increase. I think he should have at least gotten a pay increase if they were going to give him an extra year. He made the college football playoff last year. Now, if they didn't give him a pay increase, first of all, they're doing all these ticket price increases. They've increased ticket prices up to 14.5% now from 2 years ago. They still have a wait list of 30,000 wanting tickets to get in there. I don't know why you don't up Josh Heupel's pay if you're going to up his salary. If you're going to show the confidence, don't you want to show the full confidence? Because I mean, when you talk about coaches' salaries, I'm not saying Josh Heupel's deserving of his ranking in coaches' salaries, but let's just look at coaches paid more than him right now. Brian Kelly at LSU. Okay, but that's based on what he's done elsewhere. He hasn't done more at LSU. Deion at Colorado. Deion Sanders does not deserve to be paid more than Josh Heupel by any stretch of the imagination. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama did make the national title game with Washington. That's paid off what he did before Alabama. Mike Norvell at Florida State does not deserve to be paid what Josh Heupel is. Bill Belichick at UNC paid for his NFL success, but that's a little extra. Lincoln Riley at USC doesn't deserve to be paid what Josh Heupel is. Steve Sarkisian at Texas, I mean, they didn't make the 4-team college football playoffs, so maybe. Dan Lanning, Oregon, Dabo Swinney, Clemson, Ryan Day, Ohio State, Kirby Smart, Georgia. I'm fine with all those. But the point of the matter is Josh Heupel deserves to be paid higher than a lot of these other coaches, and not giving him a raise is a telling sign for Danny White and the other people involved. It really stands out, and I got to be honest, I don't know if Josh Heupel not getting a raise is a bad sign for Tennessee long term. Now, they obviously, at the same time, to be fair on that, we also have to point out that Tim Banks is now one of the highest paid assistants in all of college football. I believe Tim Banks' contract is worth $2.15 million annually. That is tied for 4th in the nation now. He's one of the top 5 highest paid assistants. So maybe Josh Heupel's willing to forego some money to make sure the assistants are paid. I mean, $9 million is $9 million. We'll see how that goes. But it is a little weird that they didn't up Josh Heupel's pay, even if he's already making $9 million a year.